Why are there slaves in the Bible? Why would God be giving instructions about slaves? Let's talk about it, because I can't lie. I kind of feel like this is one of the most brain dead questions ever, because it's kind of almost like saying to me, oh, because I go shopping in a store that sells poison, I'm in favor of poison. Now, I have to give some context, and I have some scriptures here of what God said in Ephesians, because we're about to go to the passage right after. So I was like, you know what? I might as well just get straight to this, do this section as well first. So it says, and we're in Ephesians 6, verse 5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one of you for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. Now, I honestly would already attribute that to, that's kind of the truth for the rest of us, even like as we're all living as slaves in Egypt right now anyway. You know, whatever you do, do it well. If you're going to do your job, do it well. And then he goes on to say, and masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven. There is no favoritism with him. So this is one of those situations where I feel like people would accuse God of being a hypocrite. I'm going to explain exactly why, and it's not that difficult to understand. That's because these were the customs. Every single season of us as humans, sorry, I accidentally closed the Bible. I've noticed that throughout history, there's always somebody trying to start an empire. They start said empire, and then in order to maintain control over the people, they turn them into their slaves. So why do I think God is saying this? I think because he understands the types of people he's talking to and the situation we're in, right? And he's trying to keep the peace. You slaves do the best that you can. You slave masters don't do, it says do the same. Notice it says that. Treat your slaves in the same way. So he's like, if this is the customs y'all is doing, then try your best in the culture, in the trap you found yourselves in, because it's kind of like us as who are alive today. We're no different. When we hear the word slave, it's got so many heavy connotations to it that I think people always envision it like somebody going around and you're living somewhere and you're being like whipped and beaten and worked for crazy hours, which honestly, how is our lives any different excluding the whipping and the beating? We're all just fighting like just to have the bare minimum survival. If you get better than that, you're lucky. The people in charge, the masters of the world, are treating us however they want. You know what I mean? And they're taking advantage of that. Like I was thinking about that, like with specifically, I was thinking of McDonald's, because that was definitely a time when I felt like, raw, this is like slavery, because I'm doing all this work. It's my first job. I'm getting barely paid anything. Meanwhile, these people, this is why McDonald's bothers me in particular, because I just keep seeing the company going from strength to strength. The economy for the rich people, or or the kings of the earth, if you like, they're making more and more money. Everybody else is suffering more and more, and yet we complain about them, but we still show up to the same places. Because I'm like, what happened to boycotting? If we don't like how they're operating, we just don't all go. We just don't go. We just don't go. And it's the same way that it's like with the slavery, like even with the people of Egypt, when they're enslaved, they become slaves in Rome, which is why to this day, and this is just such a crazy thought, that the Jews don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, because they were like, oh, whoever's the Messiah is going to come and destroy our slave masters, essentially, right? They're going to come and get rid of these Romans who are reigning over us. And obviously when he didn't do that, but I feel like it was another episode of, yeah, well, that's not the point, because the point is, if you don't stay close with the Lord, if you don't stay close to your own God, you are going to go off, run with other gods, and you're going to walk your own self into that situation, which is like where we are right now in a very godless world. Like I say about this country has the best version of slaves, modern day slaves, because they don't believe they are. And yet, again, like I said, they have the pride of, oh, well, we have this and we have this and we have free healthcare and we have all of that. But at the cost of what? Because it's like trying to squish blood out of a brick to even get past just an average life, which I would know from having actually been able to do it. And you're made to feel good for it because at least you've got all the things you care about. And this is why I think this is important, because this is what's going to lead us into the mark of the beast, right? Because the whole concept, and I'm going to explain this more to do with the demons in upcoming videos, or maybe this one, but the whole concept of the mark of the beast situation is we are going to be pushed by the world and its leaders further and further into slavery so that we are relying more and more on them. And then at the final straw, it's going to be, well, if you can't live anymore, guys, sorry about cost of living, sorry about inflation, sorry about this, sorry about the fact that housing prices or whatever. If you can't live, we're prepared to give you the opportunity to live. We're going to be 100% in control. We're going to be the ones who, you're going to own nothing and be happy. So they, again, are in complete control of all of your survival, and you have to put your trust in them. How is that any different to the slaves of Egypt in the Bible? How is that any different? How is it? And that's why I feel like sometimes when God is saying stuff, he's like, look, sometimes I have to talk to you at you people's level of what you allow and what you're doing. Obviously, Jesus came to give you freedom, and this is an ideal. But whilst you guys are still can't get yourselves together, right? This is one thing I got to give to, and I'm going to say something really controversial right now. Brace yourselves. This is something I got to give to all the emperors and all the conquerors of history. Is they done the damn thing. Like, even the British Empire, they did the damn thing. Like, yeah, we can be all upset, but like, we should have been prepared. Like, everybody should be prepared, like, you know, to know the kind of world we live in. And like I said, as soon as you turn away from God, you're left to your own devices. And so then the gods of this world are going to be the gods that are going to win. It's the most basic thing that has happened with the people of God throughout the Bible. Like, if you read through the books of Kings, it's always, and King so-and-so did right by the Lord, and the people of God thrived, and they conquered over their enemies, and they this and this. And then it'll be like the next king. And King so-and-so didn't do right by the sight of the Lord, and the people of Israel were overcome by their enemies, and they were struck with poverty and famine and slavery, yada yada yada. Because it's like, if the world is going to worship its gods like better than we worship our gods, what do we expect? What do we expect? If the world is going to be more aggressive with its beliefs, what do we expect? So he's like, okay, so where we all are at right now at this current moment, this is not where we need to be. But while we're here, let's at least try to follow this for now, because there's so much work that needs to be done. And I genuinely feel like that right now. Like I said, I feel like there's so much. I don't know how we recover from all of this. Hold on a minute. I don't know how we recover from all of this. Like, I don't know how we recover from how far gone we are, because even if we decided overnight, like as believers, yeah, that we were going to not put up with this, come together in unity, it's going to take so much time, conversations, what's the word? A lot of courage, you know, to step up and like step out. Like, you know what I've said to you guys before, I'm like, rather than us complaining about what the government's doing, we should just not participate. Like, I saw some story of how, you know, all of this money, how there's like 3.55 trillion in offshore accounts for like all these billionaires, and meanwhile we're accepting us paying tax, because that's them skipping their taxes, right? We're accepting us paying tax and somehow still going to work and doing all of this. I'm like, if we just didn't do it, what are they going to do? But in order for us to do that, that would have to mean that we actually believe in the God that we serve, which to me shows they believe more than in their God more than we believe in our own. And so what is God going to do about that? Realistically speaking, because we've made our choice. We don't believe. They're doing all their rituals, they're doing all their this, you even hear of people in the demonic kingdom like witches and warlocks who, I remember one guy, he said whenever they would want to put a spell on people, they would go out and they would be praying incantations like in the middle of the night for hours and hours and hours, because that's what they were instructed to do by whatever spirits they're working with. And then there's us who's like, oh, I can't even make 5 minutes for God every day. We pat ourselves on the back just for talking to God for 10 minutes. Like, which side do you think is going to win? And again, when you can't even handle your side of the part, who are you to question now what God is saying? It's another episode of we created this problem. That's what I'm trying to say. It's another episode of we created this problem. So how come when it comes to taking the accountability for us to do the job properly, worship our gods, we don't talk about that? But then when it comes to, there's slavery, how could we God do this slaves? Because you're here and you're the one running off with the other gods as well. The trouble is for you, and this I'm going to talk about more in like the next video about the levels of demons. The trouble for you is that you're not going as hard even for the world's like either way. This is why I think the Bible talks about being lukewarm and how you'd rather spit out lukewarm rather be hot or cold. You're going off with the gods of the world and you're not even going hard. At least, this is what I say to you guys, one thing I have to give to the powers of this world is that at least when they do it, they send it fully and they go the whole way. And that's why they're benefiting from it. And we too would benefit if we did the same in the reverse. But instead, we're just here lukewarm. We dibble-dabble in the Lord. We dibble-dabble in the world. We dibble-dabble in both. And then we wonder why things are just... So I hope that gives a bit of context. Because this is what I believe anyways. Obviously, go and ask God. Go and get to know God for yourself. Like, this is the one I always find fascinating about people is how quick they are to critique something you might say, but it's like, hey, the same God I'm talking about, he's freely available for you to go and figure it out for yourself. But once again, you're too lazy, you want somebody else to do it, just like, whatever. And that energy, that behavior in itself is what leads to people becoming enslaved, because it's always the people fighting the hard. Either the people, when it comes to the world, it's always the people who are the greediest and ready to be the most aggressive. And when it comes from the kingdom, it's when we actually walk in the power that Christ literally died for us to have. So anyway, I know I'm so actually, because I barely slept last night, in all fairness. Anyways, guys, if life's a game was played to win, I'm going to be talking about demons and the Antichrist and the end times a bit more. So stay tuned. Because if life's a game that's played to win, God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.